Alright guys, probably the highlight series of the day. As you got in the upper right side of the map, our red Protoss player ShoWTimE taking on the lower left hand corner blue Zerg player Reynor. I remember last year when they played in the Spring Championship, these two in the group stage. It was quite the spectacle. It was a really awesome match that they played. And it was, one of the times I believe it was a map. They played on, gosh dang it, what did they play on? They played on... What's that map called, guys? You know what I mean. I think it was either Everdream or Nightshade. I think it was Everdream. And Reynor played a pure Roach Ravager style against ShoWTimE. And it kind of nearly worked for like 20 minutes. Was that this series? I can't remember if it was that was this in this tournament, but like it was definitely around then, because it might have been that after that showdown. Anyway, it was a really crazy game. It was very, very fun. And so it was actually our last match of the Spring Championship European group stage last year. So ShoWTimE won that 2-0. I actually put him into the top 2 and got him into the winner's bracket, where he then lost out to Sue, unfortunately, before making a pretty sick lower bracket run against TY and just losing out to Innovation. Reynor obviously dropped into the lower bracket, where he beat Ragnarok, and then infamously, that infamous versus TY match we've talked so much about as of late, where TY stomped him. I can for once say this safely because he's in the game. Please, please, Reynor, do not watch the VOD, I pray. We've had a bit of a meme, me and him, back and forth the last few days about this one. That's for sure. Alright, well, John moving around. Having a little scout to see what is going on. Every day you send a drone across the map, but usually that means you want to try and block the nexus and so on, but it doesn't happen here. Drone coming in, going after the probe. I'm just going to be seeing the additional probes currently boosting out at the moment, so everything's just happy, guys. Early game PvZ, you know. The drone scout's a bit wonky, but other than that, I actually didn't pay full attention, I'm not going to lie. I didn't see if he actually tried to block or something, but you know what? He picks up a bit of info. Now he goes down. Adepts, start moving forwards and across toward the bottom left-hand side. Oracle going to move out. Heading down the right, going to be coming across and trying to take a bit of position here, see if he can get some damage out. Of course, we know ShoWTimE likes these Oracle kind of styles, so expecting to see a little bit more of that coming out of this. The Oracle makes its way around the bottom side, just getting this set up. And a little bit of rallying together at the moment. We're going to get a drone kill. The glares behind this is obviously the very exciting part of this game, because this is going to be ShoWTimE doing something a little bit different, a little bit offbeat to try and, try and really make something happen here. I can appreciate that. I appreciate that for sure, as this Oracle pulls back over. The left-hand side is going to come down in toward the main base. A couple of queens here. Right away, going to push this Oracle back. And again, the Adept counter coming through, waiting for ShoWTimE to make his attack with these Adepts. Because that's going to be a real test to see how prepared Reynor is for this. As it stands, he's droning. The Roach-Ron in the lab is on the way, but if he keeps droning a little bit too heavily, I think right now is fine. If he starts to cut and builds Roaches as the Roach-Ron is ready, he's going to see the Adepts warping in now as well, and he sees the rest of them too. So he knows 100% what's up, so at this stage, I'd be surprised if we see any more drones. He starts a Spine Crawler instantly. Man, that Roach one is late, right? Like 520 is very late down the line here. So these Adepts have some serious potential right now. Reynor full walls at the natural. Well, at least that means you don't have to deal with the Adepts in one place. But that means Queens are locked into that natural. It means Lings are not going to get over here very easily. I mean, are you just sacrificing the third base at this point? Kind of feels like that might be the situation. As this Oracle going to stasis ward behind the mineral line, that's going to catch a bunch of drones. I think it's fair to say here, guys, that Reynor's not having a good time. The cancel did come down, and these Adepts are going to make it into the natural now. Now drones are starting to fall. The first Roaches are on the way out. As he shit into the main, I guess. The only drones left here are the ones in the stasis. And we'll shade back around. I mean, pretty good movement from Reynor to minimize the workers lost. But of course, there's still mining lost here. And actually, now you lose a bunch of workers as obviously they come out of the stasis, and the Adepts were still up in the main base. So now you do lose 11 workers. Reynor is still trying to drone back up behind this while ShoWTimE sits on 61 workers. He's in a very comfortable position. Final shade back up to the high ground, gets a couple more kills. Really just so much damage dealt here. ShoWTimE with a fantastic execution of this attack. Very nicely handled. Very nicely handled. Additional gates come up from ShoWTimE. Out to the right side. The Stalkers and Sentries sit on the third base. Gonna see a couple more pylons coming through. And our Blinken +1 continuing up as well. So all of this coming into play as we do put our Oracle back in between the bases. 4 workers going down, 5, nearly 6. This one missiles and roach speed still coming through, and just gonna be seeing our Queens still settling down between the bases right now. Okay, well, I mean, obviously at this point, ShoWTimE comes out with an advantage, so the question is, how does he try and use it? He is building a prism. Maybe he will try and push around that +1 and blink. I don't think there's any harm in pushing. It's generally a very mobile army with the prism that can save a lot of units if you do get in trouble. You've got Sentry Force Fields to back away and disengage with if necessary. And you've got the Bane Disruptors probably coming through behind this as well. So you're still teching up. I don't see any harm in, like I say, setting up an attack and trying to poke around and see what you can do. If nothing else, it might force Reynor to make more units and focus less on playing catch-up, focus less on getting the economy back up and running. As we come on forward, a couple creep teamers already starting to drop here as ShoWTimE heads onto the edge of creep spread. Hatchery gets cancelled up. Queens are being picked away at. Crucifix's going to land down. Creep teamer is going to get cancelled up as well. Back around into center. Queen Roach Ravager continues forward. A couple force fields go down here. A couple mobiles up into the sky. And still just going to be seeing this army of ShoWTimE full on backing away from this. So they're just going to go for a full disengage. And like I said, I don't think ShoWTimE needed to attack in. You know, he's building into disruptors. His economy is good. This forces units out of Reynor. And he keeps his economy in that stationary point where he can't quite get ready to saturate a 4th base. Talking about 4th bases, ShoWTimE is ahead of Reynor's here as well. So, again, ShoWTimE is poised in a great position. The only problem is when you're playing against someone like Reynor, a great position can still be torn apart. You know, Reynor can absolutely still make moves here to make ShoWTimE make mistakes. And when you're playing against someone like Reynor, that's what he is so good at. That's what he excels at, really. He is so good at that kind of stuff, as you're going to be seeing. A few Lings get pushed back away into the center. I'm just going to be seeing the Ravagers and Roaches back around the upper left as well. My only question is, when does ShoWTimE kind of get aggressive next? Do you max out and you go? That's the thing with the Disruptors. Disruptors are not the best aggressive unit. They're way better defensively and, forcing disengagements than they are at attacking in. At one point, at some point you get your opponents back up against the wall. They can't kite back from those Disruptor shots anymore, but it takes a lot of pushing to get to that stage in the first place, as Reynor is ready to ram his way down this ramp if necessary. shot's going to fly on forward. A couple of cancels come through on Ravagers. And get this Queen as well. Blinks forward for that. I think ShoWTimE still pretty content with these trades. A little bit of Burrowed Roach action coming through, though, and it's definitely going to be an issue for ShoWTimE, something he's not currently prepared for at all. Observer's on the way. He's got a good amount of Stalkers going into the main to handle this. I like the turnaround back into the natural. Good idea. But the Stalkers are definitely positioned well to handle this as best as possible, so don't mind it. Oh no, Reynor's focused on the main of the natural. Eats a disruptor shot out the front. I mean, if you're going to play this kind of game, this is the kind of problems you bring to yourself, right? You are the player that's putting ShoWTimE in a position to make those plays because you're forcing the attention elsewhere. Zealots pick off the spines. A couple more Zealots going to run through, and we do just have the Lings getting us around here. Going to get the rest of these Zealots taken down. Again, the Hive is already coming through from Reynor, so he's at least looking to tech up beyond where he's at already, but I mean, what do you do? I guess it's got to be Vipers. Get some Abducts on those Disruptors, but maybe some Blinding Clouds? Honestly, that's the best I've got as 9 High Templar warp in. We're going to see Archons added through. This army is only getting better. Those Disruptors all fire at once, but they kind of needed to because they're all stuck in the front. Ugh. Sorry, just completely screwed up the observing there, didn't I? Move back to the high ground. A couple of workers have fallen. Roach is back in the main base. So it's going to be the distraction that Reynor wants to try and take advantage of here, as he's going to get himself on top of the third as well. ShoWTimE being held down this ramp, definitely making it an issue on his third base. Now he's going to finish up some Zealots here. He's going to start chasing that away, as now these Roaches don't quite know where to go to. It's about going to run through another little bit of detection as they leave. Observers are chasing as well, and the Roach is going to burrow one more time, and he's back on the right side, so Reynor is going to hammer down over here. Again, the Vipers are coming up, so he's getting into potentially a better position as time is passing by. Disruptor shot's helping to take down the Ravager count just slightly. It's something he might not be able to afford to replace as easily as before because he's investing into those Vipers. Won't have as much gas for the Ravagers, so as ShoWTimE pushes this away, I feel like this is an important time to be pushing this away, as he does chase away the Roach aggression on the third base as well. It looks like ShoWTimE's maybe just going to be able to keep on going with the Immortal count there. I felt as though the Immortal count might allow you to just push on through, because this is pretty much purely Roaches at the moment. Lock-on's been made. Disruptors getting abducted forward. Bulls here picking away at these Roaches. Couple Archons coming through. Stalkers and Zealots going to blink on top. I mean, the Viper abducts were good, but ShoWTimE's looking to keep on top of this and keep on pushing through. He's got down in supply right now, ShoWTimE, but for how long? He's going to get some Zealots down to this low ground base, and they should be able to clean this base up. I mean, he should be able to just zone these units from getting back into it. Another round of Corrosive Biles. I'm just going to see our Stalkers now blinking forward. Multiple Ravagers starting to drop off. He just lose the Observer? I think he just lost 2 Observers to those Corrosive Biles as they die and fly into the sky in sync. Oh my goodness. Not into the sky, to the surface. My apologies. We're underwater here on 2000 atmospheres. Stalker's going to clean out this hatchery. We are going to make our way around the bottom. A few of these broodlings still being picked away at. Additional units of ShoWTimE. Down over here as well. I'm just going to see these 2 Roaches still being picked away at too. They'll also go down. Here come the Ravagers going to go chasing down the Stalker Immortal Archon 4s, and Stalkers can blink away. Nice little feedback on the Viper there as our Stalkers is going to start coming through. Our Mortals and get abducted in, so that's one of them all just going down pretty much instantly. Rush Ravager force still taking a bit of a beating. I mean, the Ravagers, when they're on their own, are kind of weak. Now, this game kind of reminds me. You was talking about that game at the start of this series, and this game does kind of remind me of that game. You know, this kind of mass Roach Ravager style and just hyper aggressive sort of, you know, attack from Reynor. I mean, this game is very much so forced into, I think, from where the Adepts put ShoWTimE. As ShoWTimE right now has these carriers, which are going to try and make their way onto the Ravagers. That's pretty nice. Nice thing about the carriers as well is when they get corrosive power, they can just dodge and the interceptors are going to still keep fighting, you know? Additional infestors still just coming up. We are going to be seeing the army of ShoWTimE is obviously improving as well. I mean, yeah, so is Reynor's. I gotta give credit to Reynor. I always feel like when you survive in these sort of situations, it's extremely impressive. But he really is on the verge of dying, right? Like, he does not have much going for himself. If his ulti are not enough to break through these spines, he will lose the base on the bottom side as well. And so ShoWTimE will have the chance to keep Reynor just 4 bases versus 5. I mean, that's always going to be an issue. Roaches get by. Just going to recall pretty quickly here and shut that down. Just want to waste too much time running around dealing with anything crazy there. Just get in, shut it down, maybe get yourself back out onto the map, get some better defense against these roaches, stop it from happening again in the future. So that's going to be showing up. Our Ravagers coming through and just going to be seeing the rest of this army on the bottom side from ShoWTimE continuing forward as well. They're pushing through again. Going to see a lot of this creep spread being cleaned out. Nice little blink in to get a Viper kill there. This army is still not really good enough to fight carriers, though. I mean, I guess with the infestors on the way, at least there's going to be something in the form of those Neurals, but I'm still not really a believer in the long-term solution that Reynor is kind of setting up for at the moment. Again, that creep team is being cleaned out as ShoWTimE will continue to hold in the center. Reynor is going to make his way with the roaches once again up to the top side of the map. Ravagers will clean out all those zealots. Zealots go down pretty quick. Here comes the Stalker, Archon. Carrier Mortal Army coming through. He actually finds the infestors, so he knows what the plan is. Mass feedbacks. Well, that is, I believe, what you call a bit of a disaster, because that is actually just everything that Reynor was planning to use there just dead. Those infestors didn't get a cast off. Like, seriously. That's bloody murder. And now, well, you can now see Reynor just does not have enough to stay in there. ShoWTimE is going to win out. Map number 1. Jeez. Again, give you guys a little heads up, just in case you're wondering what's left here for today. Very quickly as the game just gets going, Bob Dole 47, thank you so much for using the Prime on the channel. I would say, guys, there's been a surprising amount of new subs today. For me being in not so great a mood and everything, I feel like we've had a surprising amount of love coming through. So thank you so much for all the fresh subs and primes and everything. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for the being so supportive. As our bottom right red Protoss and Blackburn is ShoWTimE, bottom left blue Zerg is Reynor. This might be a bit more of a passive game depending on what ShoWTimE does, but obviously last game was very aggressive because ShoWTimE kind of forced Reynor to be aggressive. We'll see what happens on Blackburn. Hatch, gas, and pool getting set up and ready to begin. He de-stressed from abuse slowly? Wow. You know, if you did a better job sailing people's channel points, then you wouldn't have to worry about people having too many channel points, you know? Bow, 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 bada, bada, bow, bow, bow. Couple of lings are gonna go around the bottom left-hand side. Just gonna be seeing the circling speed is starting up. Stargate is coming through, and these few lings are gonna go chasing forward against this probe. Probe gets pushed back a little bit. Queen drops down a creep jimmer and just gonna be spreading this forward. A Stargate in the main base already coming through. Like I said, probably gonna see a pretty passive game, I would imagine. We'll see if anyone does anything spicy to mix it up a little bit, you know. Couple of adepts just going to sit themselves between the gateway and the cyber core, so putting themselves into a nice little defensive position. We're going to see queens dropping some injects, dropping a bit of creep spread. That link speed of Reynor is going to be finishing up fairly soon with the spore crawler coming down on the main base. So just getting some spore crawler coverage up and running. Oracle of ShoWTimE comes all the way through the bottom and in towards the main. Queen gonna put some damage out. Oracle's kind of just getting beat up on a little bit, so it doesn't really do much at all. And now a Void Ray to follow up. A bit of a shame this Oracle didn't even really get to activate or anything, right? And it just loses all of its shields, some of its HP. It's just that much weaker now as the Void Ray cleans up. It's going to be a Twilight Council, a second game in a row. I don't know if that's almost just like a mind game that's going to work in ShoWTimE. Like, who goes Glaives after Stargate twice in a row? Actually, very few people. It's the build that usually gets mixed in, not the build that gets used in full. And Reynor going for a melee upgrade. Well, that can be good. If you have melee against those adepts, they're going to die faster, don't get me wrong. Problem is, if you've got melee against the adepts, you're probably still playing lings against them. If you're still playing lings against them, they're probably going to kill you before the melee even matters. So, the only way that this works out from Reynor is that he's going to need a Baneling-focused defense. You're going to need to get the Baneling count up, and use that Baneling count to help you defend against the adepts. And to push that back, of course, this is something we saw Reynor do the other day. In the ESL Open Cup, I believe it was against Gung Fu Banda. He played kind of a +1 melee early, and he did have to defend against adepts with Ling Bane, and it went very well for him. Let's see what he can do this time. Again, ShoWTimE, all his warpins are at the back, just trying to hide this for as long as possible. Reynor actually has no vision on the map right now, so he has nothing to even like run and check at the front, so he really doesn't know what's going on. He has the first few lings that are going to make their way across. Their goal is to try and cancel this third base. Now, if you can actually A, keep this third base alive, but B, do it while reducing the information that Reynor gains in terms of the adept count, that would be huge. This is big, though, because those two adepts just get picked off instantly. Surprised the Oracle didn't turn back around, because it feels like this is the exact sort of position where the Oracle would have been able to just come in and just laser down those lings, and this wouldn't be continuing. Now you lose 2 more adepts, and this is really depowering the pressure ShoWTimE can apply now. He does see it, Reynor, at least, so he gets some information. Information is great, but yeah, the Oracle just had to recall home, and obviously that's not ideal. And again, as Reynor now knows that this is coming, he's going to be able to prepare with a few Banelings at home, I was going to say, but he's actually not preparing with a few Banelings at home. Maybe soon, as now a couple of them on the way up. He breaks through the depot chamber at the front, though, so he will get into the natural expansion. And ShoWTimE will get the chance to dance and jump around bases, as he did in that last game that led to so many of his successful kills. Bane's about to be done in the main base. Again, the Banes will force the Adepts to splitting the Adepts. Means the Lings can get full surrounds and trade much better. Not going to reveal the Banes just yet. Going to wait for these Adepts to commit to a shade to guarantee you can do it, but ShoWTimE seems to know. He's just going to cancel that shade. He's not going to commit at all. 11 drones dead. As Adept's going to commit to a shade once again. It's just Queens in his main base, but generally doing good damages. I mean, these drones just got pulled back in. Still not committing to that shade. I love it from ShoWTimE. I think it is very smart because I think he knows what Reynor is doing. I think he knows what Reynor is expected to have. And he ain't falling for the bait. He ain't falling for the, oh yeah, I'm just going to shade and see what I can do. Because he's going to shade in. And those Banes are going to crash into his arm. He's going to have a bad time. But he's not going to let that happen at all. Things come through. Looking to wrap around a little bit. 5 probes going down, as you do see a few more Lings jumping in on top of those probes, and the Stalker's getting through there, pushing the Lings back up around the top side. I mean, the probe kills are decent. Obviously, we do see the, again, this is just going to be, for now, still pure Ling Bane. How long can you keep this up for? It worked against Gung Fu Band the other day. Does it work against someone like ShoWTimE? Tell you what's going to be an issue. This gold base is just very vulnerable, and the Lings aren't here to protect it. Quick pull away before the sentries got there for the force fields. They could have trapped those drones in if they had been there at the right moment. Additional Stalkers showing up. We have no prism, right? There's a prism on the map. It's on the way. It's not ready yet. Well, this is just a good position anyway. You're slowly getting rid of this fourth base, that gold base. Void Rain and Cannon are going to be scary enough to turn that around as well, so I wasn't too convinced about that. I thought you maybe could have kept on going there. I mean, ShoWTimE's going to have a Robo Bay done. I think this is a no disruptor game. I think you built Colossus. I think you go Colossus here. There's a couple of force fields coming down all over the place. Good blocks with the force fields, but suddenly the damage output to clean out those Banes. Bane speed's going to be done soon, so you're not going to have as long to set up the force fields next time around. It's going to make life a little bit tough. Force fields are good. A couple more sentries just came in. Some of the sentries get hit by some of the Banes that made it around the bottom side, though. ShoWTimE, I think, is going to start backing it up. He does have stasis wards to help him escape from this situation. Some Lings on this side. He actually just blinks on top of them once again to that fight instantly. Stasis ward going to save you from a bunch of Banes so far. ShoWTimE honestly continue to trade well. Reynor's also stacking up money, which he should have been able to spend. Guess he's just missing a macro hatchery or so. As I'm just going to be seeing the, again, any production slip like that's definitely going to hurt his Reynor. Just again, imagine how many more Lings and so on he could have. I'm really not sure what he does with this. It's not a good composition at the end of the day, pure Ling Bane, and it can work if he can take control of the game. He can keep momentum in the game. Reynor has none of that. He's going to get to Hive, and I imagine with the Hive, the plan has got to be, I mean, obviously Abducts against Colossi would be good, so Viper's a game, but maybe this time we just go into the Ultras Cavern and move into the units which are going to benefit from these fast melee upgrades in a big way, and give some, something that can also beef up your army. That's exactly what the Ultras will do, beef up your army. That is for sure. Hive starts, so let's see what comes off the Hive. I think that's a really important question to be asking at the moment. How do you win as Reynor right now? I think if you want to win as Reynor, it really is, you got to start doing some counterattack damage. Like counterattacks and denying your opponent's economy and making him uncomfortable. And making him feel uncomfortable / making him feel forced to be a bit more aggressive than they need to be in any given moment to force bad fights. I think that's how you win this game. I don't know if it's honestly going to work against ShoWTimE. I think ShoWTimE's a bit too experienced to lose to something like this. But happy to be proven wrong. It's the power of Reynor, right? As these Stalkers get surrounded, there's a huge counterattack. And there's not really any use here to defend it right now. At the same time, what are you doing across the map? Well, these Banes are showing up. Whoa! It's a Bane donut! Unfortunately, the filling has been burnt out of it by the Colossus. Overcooked a little bit. 26 probes just went down though as this Ling Bane attack continues across the map. So Reynor still needs to find a defense at home though. He doesn't defend at home. His worker count is going to be looking very similar to ShoWTimE's very soon. ShoWTimE's going to turn it around. He has no force field. He doesn't believe in his defense or in his attack anymore. Not until he reinforces, perhaps. More sentries on the way. 38 probes have gone down, though. This is how you win the game as Reynor. You do some good counter damage. You scare ShoWTimE from committing in. And you kind of take a lead in economy and hope that that can pull you through on the army. Couple of force fields here as Banes are getting on top of the sentries. Stalker's blinking back though. Those ones are a little stacked as the Banes do crash in. ShoWTimE's army supply is still not bad. The Colossus count is obviously big. The Colossus really are the one thing here that will, more than anything else, I think, put Reynor into a lot of trouble, because these Colossi can do serious damage, and I just don't know how you get rid of them without getting rid of everything else. But I mean, he has been making progress on that front. How's that Warp Prism gone? Okay, it's about to reinforce over here, and it's going to be additional Stalkers. So just Stalker Colossus going to be our composition. Taking through the upper left-hand side, a couple Overlords are continuing to fall. Inside the top left base, guess who's counterattacking? You guessed it. His name begins with R and ends in Anor. That's Reynor. He's off across the map, and it's a recall from ShoWTimE. And now these Stalkers in a bit of a weird spot. So he recalls in, defends his mineral line. Maybe he says he doesn't want to lose more probes. He's rebuilt the work account beautifully, by the way. As Reynor's mined more all the way throughout. But losing that top left base will hurt. He's now forced to take this more central base instead. Stalkers take a bit of a check forward, see what's going on. If the Colossi to provide aid, we do see a bunch of those Lings getting lasered down. Final on the right side, this gold gets picked off. I think the Stalkers were stuck there from the recall, but they could have blinked, right, if they were just Stalkers. Reynor's getting to Ultras, guys. Ultras are the... You know, this army is just very different now from what it used to be. Okay, you obviously can't use sentries really anymore as a Protoss player. You obviously probably want to get some Immortal Archon up, because that's going to be great against the Ultras. Archons would have been great against the Ling Bane so far, too. I guess ShoWTimE's never been in a position to get there. Could have maybe gone Storm. I actually don't know how good... it's weird, but I think the Colossi are a bit safer against your opponent who's just playing just Ling Bane. Because I actually think the Colossi are just a more consistent way of getting damage output, whereas the Storm is obviously... it's a little rougher, I would say. These Colossi, by the way, 47 kills, 29 kills, and 61 kills. They have put in some serious work. Resources lost, massively favoring ShoWTimE. If you can just keep up the trades like that, it's going to be a good spot. The trades should not be as efficient as they were before because of the Ultras. Of course, if the Lings run in without Ultra support, then sure. A bit of Zealot playing to the main base from the Warp Prism. There's a lot of Queens out the front. They have a ton of transfusion energy. And that's why you kind of really need a proper answer to these Ultras, because if you don't have Immortals or something to chunk through them, they're just never going to die with those Queens transfusing. Banes kind of deciding what to go on to. I mean, they hit an Archon and a Colossus more than anything else at the end. Full transfusions available here. The Queen's actually a bit slow to arrive, coming through a slow zone. ShoWTimE's backing it up as we're going to see a couple of Lings showing up to stop the back away. These Colossi are going to get jumped on. One of them goes down. The other one is low. It's going to go down pretty quickly as well. Across the map, he has killed a base. 15 probes going down too, so it looks like there's a counterattack at the same time. Stalkers, they don't want to blink for the kill, and now the Queens are catching up with the rest of this army. Resources loss is taking a heavy turn. Look at ShoWTimE's army supply dropping in that graph. That's just what's happened in the last moment or two as ShoWTimE. He just didn't have an answer to the Ultras. Now he's building Immortals, but he's lost the Colossus. So he's building Immortals when he doesn't have splash damage to deal with the Lings anymore. There you go, Ling Ultra going to run down this ramp. Good save sword, saves you for a few moments here. My Templar's morph into an Archon, and a bit of a weird spot, so it's going to maybe just get targeted down before it does anything. Ultra's rotating back to get transfused by these Queens, and this is where Reynor has been heading to for a long time. And he's finally here at ShoWTimE, pulling it back, trying to pull off this defense, but Reynor's going to make it work. Man, this style seems crazy. I still don't know if it should work, really. But it's going to work here against ShoWTimE, it seems. ShoWTimE looks as though he's going to drop map number 2 below 100 supply now. I think the biggest problem for ShoWTimE was the response to the Ultras was very slow. The Ultras could have come up a long time ago. And there was Ultras up for a long time here. And because he just didn't have a clue about it, he just didn't do anything about it. And that is a big issue. That said, some of these ultras here have just gone down when maybe they should have been transfused and saved. Right now, losing a couple of these ultras, you can't transfuse fast enough. I mean, if these ultras go down, it is just kind of, you know, queens ripe for the picking, so ShoWTimE might survive. He's lost 29 workers, though. Losing the upper right base, he's not going to come out with a lot of economy. I mean, impressive that he survives, but again, the economy is butchered. Ultra into the center. Important for the Lings to get on top of these Immortals, right? So that the Ultras don't take as much damage. ShoWTimE types GG. He's been outmatched. And Reynor is going to take the 1-1. Thank you, Lambo, for the raid as well, by the way. Sorry you guys raided and got thrown into a set of ads. I apologize. I know that always sucks, but just sometimes timing is unfortunate, you know? Top right, our red Protoss player is ShoWTimE. Taking on our blue Zerg in the bottom left from Team Clash. It is Reynor. That was a hell of a game number 2, I gotta say. Game 2 was pretty fantastic. I mean, one of those games where I honestly, I was 100% behind ShoWTimE as well. I believed he had what he needed to win that game, and I did not see... I did not see Reynor kind of making it work, but he did, and that's the magic of Reynor. That's what he, you know, he's so good at that kind of stuff. So Wardy of Little Faith, yeah, that's my bad. No, I mean, like, to be fair, like, I'm a man of facts, and the facts in the game is that Reynor was not in a good spot. And he held, and ShoWTimE just lost the sentries a couple too many times, couldn't keep on pushing. I think the big thing is if he keeps the Colossi alive when the Ultras come out, he's probably still okay. But losing the 2 Colossi meant that suddenly he has to build the Immortals, which obviously was an issue in itself. But suddenly you have to build Immortals, so he's building Immortals, and then he can't rebuild Colossi, so then you're answering the Ultras, but you're not answering the Zerglings anymore. That was the issue. And I think that was one of the bigger moments towards the end. I think the Ultras in general were an issue for him, because that's why he lost the Colossi, but... yeah, I mean, obviously then that led on... that had a knock-on effect, you know? Never count someone out? Oh, I wasn't counting him out. I even said in the game, Reynor's the kind of player, maybe it was the first game, Reynor's the kind of player to make these situations difficult to, you know, difficult to win in. Hey Marvin442, thank you so much for the Prime sub. 40, how big must the prize pool be for you to pick it up and organize it? Well, like a tournament? Yeah, I mean, sometimes I cast $100 cups, you know? If you want me to organize something, you have to pay me for it, though. Like, if you want me to, because that's work. I organize my own events because, you know, organizing my own events is easy, you know, is part of my job. But yeah, it's it honestly depends. If you have a cool idea, I'm probably not gonna go around organizing $100 cups for people, you know. But yeah, for a few $100, I might be interested. Depends how busy I am and stuff like that, you know. Streamtile says Reynor versus Denver. Doesn't it? Says ShoWTimE versus Denver. Yeah, I can't be bothered to change that. It's a tough life. I know. Reynor was up on upgrades, tons of basic skill, tons of lava. Yeah, but you don't need upgrades for Colossi to beat Lings, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, upgrades in that kind of game, I don't look at them very much because the upgrades are just essential for Reynor to have a chance anyway. You know? I think ShoWTimE just didn't know the Ultras up. I think he had plenty of time to see the Ultras, because even if he'd seen it when there was 1 or 2 Ultras, but he didn't. He saw it when there was like 5 or 6 Ultras, and that was much later on, so... I really think he hadn't been using the Robo for a long time, And he hadn't added on any other tech because he'd warped in a lot of sentries being aggressive. So then you can't afford the Archons. And even, like I say, there's so many things that could have helped more against the Ultras than what he ended up doing. And I still feel like the Ultras... He probably... I wonder if ShoWTimE felt as though he was on, like, the upper edge. And so he felt like, Reynor, surely he can't be teching to Ultras right now because he's on the back foot. I'm pressuring him. I'm denying bases. You know, I'm on the aggressive. So I think maybe it's part of the fact that ShoWTimE didn't think to kind of look, because he just sort of maybe even assumed, right? It's actually a really interesting game to talk about because there's a lot of little things that happened in that game. There's a lot of little things that you can really kind of take a moment to step back and think about, you know? Yeah, very interesting game, and obviously I can only speculate as well. Maybe ShoWTimE didn't feel like that at all, but definitely, definitely a fun one to look back on, that's for sure. Hey, thank you so much, Hidden Sky Machines, for the 1500 bits as well. Just we have a Void Ray opener. There is not much to talk about here. Obviously, ShoWTimE moving away from that Glaives for the first time in the series. Oracle gets down to that bottom side, drops a little revelation, seeing what's going on. Robot facility at the back of the natural voids are going to make into the main. Gonna push through, gonna get those queens to turn those voids around. +1 missiles is coming in on the evolution chamber. Infestation pit is on the way up. And the rest of our voids is coming around. The title is done for ShoWTimE. I click far more for the real game Reynor ShoWTimE. Well, maybe I just want to keep Reynor ShoWTimE to the real OGs. You know, the people who'd watch us for any series. Maybe I just don't want all these fake Starcraft fans that only want the best of the best. Maybe I just want people who watch a bit of anything, you know? Maybe it's a way to give you guys the chance to just get like an exclusive look at a great series, you know? I just didn't want to update the title, and I can't be bothered to tab out because it's minimized in all sorts, and I've had XSplit issues today. I've already had to reset my stream once because my XSplit crashed because I was tapping around. I want to minimize it, especially in the middle of a series, you know? So yeah. All good, all good. Swarm host coming through. It's going to be rallying out, and honestly, I mean, ShoWTimE played against the Swarm host of Denver early on. Honestly, I felt like that game was pretty good for him. Maybe you could argue it could have been easier, but I think overall he was pretty happy with how that game in particular played out. As this time around, we've got ourselves Reynor on the heart, you know, with the Swarm host in his hands. It's also a bit of a different setup, right? Because I don't believe ShoWTimE played with the Void Rays against the Swarm host earlier. Intrigue does. I guess you do still go Disruptors here, right? You could go Colossi and laser through the Locust, but if you deal with the Locust anyway, Disruptors are probably better against, especially an army that wants to just charge your front door down, right? Like we said, Disruptors are really the kings of defense. They can force units back, you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you can do that, well, yeah, you would just want to go Disruptors because these units are going to hit your front door again and again and again. They are going to try and break on in. This one Archon just gets back to the super battery in time, gets healed up and gets saved. Oh my god, it's slowly full and really complaining about not being able to update the, not being able to update the, thingy? Really? Really? Slowly? There we go, round 2 of the Swarm host. Disruptor shot fires forward, hits a few of the queens. Problem is, with only one Disruptor, you don't actually kill those queens, you just force some transfusions. As ShoWTimE looks to hold on, the Locals are going down, then this is going to be that low attack kind of wave of the army. I feel like you need the Disruptor shot to land on like some Roaches and Ravagers, actually get kills most of them clipping the queens. I know that's obviously going to be hard. Well, there you go, just like that. That's the sort of Disruptor shot you're needing. This Disruptor's going to get a super battery to help it out, actually. He's going to keep it alive while he gets the shot off. You know, this is a sort of position where Reynor can overcommit into very easily, where you kind of feel like you're about to win it out, so you just keep pushing forward. You don't wait for the Locust at all. Don't think it's going to be the case, though, because the Locusts are already back again. Wow, that's crazy. That was quick. Jeez. Alright, bro's going to be in trouble in the back, and I thought ShoWTimE had more time until this wave of Locust was ready. It looks like Reynor getting off to a hot start in the Spring Championship. An 0-1 start, but bringing it back in some... Well, Game 2 was awesome. This map was not so exciting, I would say. The Reynor 2-1 over ShoWTimE. GG's.